Hey Besties, welcome back to my page. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe, click that bell. You just gained a new best friend. So today we're going to get into mock interviews. In this video, I'll be first discussing some tips and advice on how to show up to an interview via Zoom, and we will end with a mock interview. So let's get into it. So first, you should make sure that your technology is working correctly. Make sure you have already accessed the platform that you're going to be using to do your interview, as well as making sure that your laptop or whatever device that you plan to use for your interview is fully charged and working. You don't want to have any technical issues amid the interview. Two, you want to make sure that your lighting is very good. You want them to be able to fully see who you are as much as possible over Zoom, be able to see your expressions, be able to see, that first impression that they have of you. So make sure that your lighting is really good. Test out your lighting. Three, check out your background. Make sure your background is appropriate. A white wall is fine. Just make sure it's nothing provocative or anything that can lure their judgment of you. Make sure there's nothing going on that's distracting in the background as far as objects in the background or noise in the background. Make sure you're in a quiet space with good lighting and a clean background. Next, you want to make sure you dress professionally for this interview. Yes, it's via Zoom. However, first impression is everything. So business attire is very appropriate for the interview. Next, as much as possible, make it a conversation. Yes, this is an interview. However, it should not be a one-way interrogation. It should be a dialogue. So pick up on some of the things that they're asking you and ask them questions as well. I know personally, before I ever ended an interview, I would always ask about 3 questions to my interviewer, whether that be about the school, their path through medicine, or any information that I feel they could expound upon, whether it was research that they've done in their past or any tips that they can or advice that they can give me moving forward. So ask those questions, get to know your interview. It should not be a one-way street when you are doing these interviews. And last but definitely not least, be yourself, be authentic. So we're going to go ahead and get into this mock interview. I really hope this helps you. I wish all my besties the best of luck in this application season. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you. Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Russell. Thank you for joining us on your interview today. This will be an open file interview, so we have reviewed your personal statement as well as your experiences. So we're going to go ahead and start with you telling us a little bit about yourself outside of what we already read on your application.
Okay. Well, first off, it's very nice to meet you, and I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to get to know me. My name is Kui K. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but I grew up majority in the Cincinnati area and also rural Kentucky. I'm the oldest of 3, and I'm the daughter of a Kenyan immigrant and a Kentucky resident. My mom grew up in rural Kentucky as well, so that's why we live here. What I like to do in my free time, I love to cook. I think cooking to me has developed from just having fun to more of a way to upkeep my health. I really like to cook healthy things and experiment with different flavors and traditional cuisines and things like that. So that's something I really like to enjoy. I also really like to read, mostly for fun, not really science stuff. I mean, I do enough of that during school. I like to read more like social justice and more philosophical things, and also like to work out during my free time. It's a good stress reliever.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay, so you mentioned cooking. What are some of your favorite dishes that you like to cook?
Well, actually, I recently went plant-based, so I
Oh,
really
wow. Okay.
yeah, it's been really interesting because I learned a lot about different foods I never knew about before. So I really enjoy cooking Indian food and Thai
Oh,
food because
nice.
a lot of those are plant-based anyways. I'm not really sure my favorite meal, but just those types of cuisines I really like.
Oh, that's so interesting. You also mentioned you love to read. So what was the last book that you read?
Ooh, Hood Feminism.
Oh,
Great book.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it taught me a lot about actually the disproportionate rate of Black women and how we just the different healthcare disparities that we go through. It taught me a lot about that, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, wow, that sounds super interesting. I'll definitely check that book. Okay, and you mentioned that you grew up in a rural area. So would you be willing to go back and actually practice in a rural area?
Yeah, that's actually something I would really love to do. That's actually why me and my family moved to a rural area because my father is a physician who actually went to the same institution, and he did that just to give back to this rural community because it is really very underserved and people don't have good access to healthcare at all. So that's something I would definitely be wanting to do once I become a physician.
So tell me an experience that you've had most resonates you with medicine.
I would say the experience that resonates with medicine most for me would be my experience as a caregiver. Before having this job, I think my view of medicine wasn't deep enough. But then whenever I started working with her, mind you, she has cerebral palsy, and working with her really taught me what it meant to be a human. Like you don't, and she also is a therapist for other adults with disabilities. So I not only got to know her, but I also got to know her clients, and I just learned that you don't have to know how to be able to talk. You don't have to be able to walk. You don't have to really be able to do anything to be a human being and be deserving of quality care and be deserving of just
Right.
of respect. And I think that's what that taught me. And I think medicine is the science of human beings. So I think in order to
Exactly.
be a good physician, you have to understand that we're all human beings and we all are deserving of a quality life. And I think that's definitely the thing that taught me the most about medicine.
Right, absolutely agree. Just because you have a disability or maybe you don't exhibit
Right.
the same characteristics someone else has, you should be given a proper care and shouldn't be treated differently. So I
Right.
thank you.
Yeah.
So can you give me two of your weaknesses?
So one weakness, and it's something I'm definitely working on, is I feel that I grew up most of the time I was either the only Black person or one of few in my classes or at my school, and I think that left me with a feeling of inadequacy or uh, just inadequacy of my intellect. So I didn't really have the confidence to ask questions or speak up in class. And I think looking back on my college years, I think mostly at the beginning of my college experience, I think that actually really hindered my ability to do well in the class because you have to know how to ask for help. And even in medicine, most of the time you're asking questions. So I think
Right.
that's something that is my weakness, but I realize that and I am actively working on it just by, forcing myself to ask questions and forcing myself to sit in the front of the room so that, the professor's seeing me, so he'll probably call on me. Just
Right.
things like that. And my second weakness is I tend to do, I tend to take advantage of every opportunity that comes my way. And I say this is a weakness because I've noticed in school sometimes I'll be too busy with this club or this club or this organization, and I wouldn't have the time to do my schoolwork, which is the most important.
Right.
And although I don't regret the experience that I've had because I think at the end they have made me better. I think that going into medical school, that's something I have to change because in order to be a competent physician, you have to know the stuff and you can't spend your time doing other things. So that's definitely a weakness, but I do realize that going into medical school and I plan on putting all my focus into school.
Right. And that's good that you already identified that because we tend to try to spread ourselves thin.
Right.
I management, we lose because we're trying to volunteer here, try to be a mentor here, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure that your core, job at the time is to make sure you know the information, the curriculum that's being presented to you as a medical student. So
Mhm.
glad you identified that. So we talked about two weaknesses. Let's talk about two strengths.
The strength that I have is I'm a very persistent person. So like if I have a goal, I'm going to do it no matter what. And I do think that's a strength because a lot of times people can, when they have obstacles put at them, it's easy for them to give up or to be deterred from finishing. But I've never really been known to do that. And I think that's important, especially going into medicine, because it's a long journey and there's going to be a lot of challenges, but I'm someone who always will see the light at the end of the tunnel. And
Right.
even though there's a struggle now, I'm still, looking at that goal. So I think that's definitely a strength that I have.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And another strength that I have is I think I have a good ability of making people feel comfortable. I've just noticed that with my job and just in life. I'm the oldest sibling, so I already have that kind of. I'm the oldest daughter also, so it's like that mother energy. I feel like I have a little bit of
Right.
that, and just with my job, I have to make my client feel comfortable, and I think that's a good skill that I have because in medicine you also, especially being the doctor, you oftentimes can be intimidating to some patients, especially patients who don't necessarily trust the medical field. And I think that I have noticed that I'm someone who can make people feel comfortable. And that's coming from other people. That's not just my observation, that's coming
Right.
from what other people have said.
Hmm.
So I would say that's a strength.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so, I'm sure you've researched our school. What are some reasons that you would like to attend our school, and what in your background do you feel make you a good candidate for our school?
So one reason, and this is not the sole reason. So some reasons why I applied to this institution is one is because my father actually went here for medical school, and that's not the sole reason, but just because of that, I already have a sense of what the school is like. I know that you guys are very, very supportive of your students. I know that you all value diversity, and I know that you all produce really good and competent and empathetic physicians, and that's the kind of physician that I want to be. Another reason is because I actually did research last summer, cancer research with the NCI Cancer Institution or NCI Cancer Education Program. And in doing that, I got to learn that this school also has a lot of innovation when it comes to research. And I also want to go to a school where I can explore more of my research skills and just get to do more research in medical school because that's something I also want to do. Third reason is because you actually have an MD MBA program, and a lot of other schools don't have that. And I definitely think that getting an MBA on top of my MD will be something that will just bring my career to another level. I want to be in leadership in medicine, and that's something that I definitely will want to take advantage of.
Okay, thank you for that. And last question is, do you have any questions for me?
Um, yes. So as you know, a lot of medical school is stressful. Medical is very stressful. So, what are some things that your institution does to help their students cope with the stress of medical school, and what kind of things do you do to show support to your students?
Okay, well, first and foremost, we do offer advising so they can discuss, some of their next steps and plans while they are going through the process, as well as counselors that they can sit with and talk to. Whatever is said in that session will be confidential, unless, of course, if they're trying to hurt each other, we'll have to reach the people that we need to contact at that point. But overall, it's going to be confidential. So, they have access to this person at all steps in their medical career progressing forward. As well as we have a lot of communities where the student can, go to as far as whether they have a desire to cook, whether a desire to do art. There's a lot of different collateral communities that they can join so that, the overwhelming stress can somewhat be de-alienated at some point, with maybe a group project or, opportunities to volunteer. So we try to make sure that our student community has enough activities for everyone, so that way they can take their mind off, the stressors of trying to be a medical student. As well as we have a box that allows them to insert their questions if they want to be confidential about it. And, we'll get back to them as soon as we can. So we set up protocols to make sure that our medical students are mentally and physically healthy, so that we understand that suicide is very high in the medical student community. So we are always open for any advice or any ideas to assist a student body further and making sure this is as less stressful as possible while they're, attending our university.
Okay, that's really good. I also like how you said cooking, because that's something I really enjoy. So that sounds like it's a really supportive institution. That's really awesome. I do have one more question. So for students who like to do innovation, I know that a previous student at this school did do some things to not change the curriculum, but to add things to the curriculum. So how would you say that a student who was interested in doing some kind of, or getting connected with the leadership, how would you suggest a student do that? Like, would you say the leadership is accessible to students that are at your school?
Yes, all leaderships, all teaching professors are accessible to the students. If they have an idea, they are more than welcome to sit down with them during their office hours and discuss that idea. We also offer a workshop that discusses patents, that will allow the student, if they do have an innovative idea and they want to, they need assistance in the process of getting a patent, we allow that workshop for them to learn, the laws behind that, the procedures that go into that. And we're all here to assist. So it's an open door policy with all the professors. So yes, if you have an innovative idea, if you want to get started, you don't know how to get started, we have a few professors here who have patented, innovations, or, tools that have further assisted in the medical community. So yes, please bring those ideas up. Don't be hesitant, don't be shy. We do definitely welcome that in our community.
Okay, that's so awesome.
Okay, well, thank you. This does conclude your interview, and I wish you the best of luck. And, take care in everything that you do further on in this application season.
Okay, thank you. It was so great meeting you.
Yes, you too. Thank you.